In this video, I'll give you the top 12 waiver wire players to target heading into week 12. I'm Jim Coventry of RotoWire. All right, a quarterback, Anthony Richardson, returned from his benching. He had a great fantasy performance, 67% completions. He had been below 50 earlier in the season. He threw a touchdown pass. Also, they got him going on the ground. 10 carries, 32 yards, scores twice. We know the downside. We've seen it. But this game reminded us of the upside. And if Shane Steichen is going to use him effectively as a runner and a passer, we might get the player we wanted all along. Jameis Winston is next. Cleveland Browns. He reminded everyone of his ability that he can burn your team or he can save your fantasy team. He was terrible against the Chargers. The Chargers had a really good defense, so we'll give him that. But this week, played the Saints. Not a great defense. 395 yards and 2 touchdowns. Could have been more. Would have liked more. Can you argue with 395 and 2? Look, if you need a streamer quarterback, consider Winston based on weekly matchup. If you need to stash him for later, definitely do that. Derek Carr seemed to have a tough matchup against Cleveland, has very few weapons at receiver. That problem's not going to go away soon, but Saints keep using play action, rollouts. They catch some breakdowns in the defense, 248 and 2 touchdowns in a game they led throughout, only attempted 27 passes. Carr has streamer appeal. Let's move to running back. Javonte Williams may have been dropped last week after the Audric Estime relegation, as we thought, but against the Falcons, Williams gets his job back. Only 9 carries, 5 targets, 87 yards and a touchdown. Clearly the best running back on that team. It's not even close. Estime does get work late when the game's a blowout. Basically did very little in garbage time. That was it. But the backfield's unpredictable. I can't say it's going to be Williams because for some unknown reason, Sean Payton took his job from him. Maybe it happens again next week. But right now, Williams has the most upside potential if he's dropped. Definitely get him on your roster. Cam Akers of the Minnesota Vikings next, has at least 8 touches in each of Minnesota's last 3 games. He's the very clear change of pace to Aaron Jones. But remember, if Jones misses time, Akers takes on a volume role. Not very efficient all the time. Some weeks he has, and this week he wasn't. But he's used as a runner and receiver. He scored a receiving touchdown this week. So again, Cam Akers definitely has value if you need a running back. Next, Roschon Johnson of the Chicago Bears. 11 touches, 41 yards and a touchdown against the Packers. Now, Thomas Brown takes over the offense after the Bears fired Matt Waldron. Now, I know the Packers are not a great run defense, but maybe Thomas Brown is going to go with a 2-headed rushing attack, take pressure off of Caleb Williams. And if that's the case, volume is king in fantasy football. We saw both running backs using the red zone, but Johnson could be the preferred guy if they get to the 1, but maybe not, but he'll still be used there. Again, we can get some volume. Next one might be kind of crazy. Amir Abdullah of the Las Vegas Raiders. Zamir White left with a quad injury. Alexander Madison leaves with an ankle injury. If they both miss time, Abdullah's going to see time. Also, while you're at it, if they both are going to miss, Dylan Laube could be activated as a pass catcher. If you enjoy videos like this, please consider hitting the like button and subscribe to the RotoWire Fantasy Football channel on YouTube. Also, you can check out all of our fantasy football content, our rankings. You can get a free 2-day trial. You don't even need a credit card. Go to rotowire.com/Jim. Check us out. If you like it, join the team. If not, we're just glad you stopped by. All right, let's go to wide receiver. Marquez Valdes-Scantling. Got to add him again. Last week, he gives us that big game, over 100 yards, a couple of touchdowns, 3 catches. Well, this week, another blown coverage. They used Carr on the rollout. The Browns didn't have an answer, and all of a sudden, 2 catches, 87 yards, and another score. It's not going to keep up, but it could. I mean, a couple weeks here and there. Look, if you've got to start somebody as a streamer, you're in trouble in your fantasy lineup, the Saints lack pass catchers. They like to throw downfield. He could come up. He could get you a 0, but he also could go off. So, again, risky, but worth it. Devon Vele of the Denver Broncos, I bring him up most weeks, caught 4 passes in each of the last 2 games. Last week, it was 39 yards and a touchdown against Kansas City, but against the Falcons, 66 yards. He is a valued slot receiver. They do have a point guard approach for Bo Nix at quarterback, but Vele has been developing a floor in PPR leagues. If you need it, you have a floor play. Nick Westbrook-Akine, got to bring him up. He gets 4 to 6 targets in 4 of his last 5 games. He has touchdowns in 4 or 5. Touchdowns in 5 or 6, I should say. He's getting targets. Not a great player, but he's putting some production up. You could do worse. This was a long touchdown and a broken play, a 98-yard touchdown this week. It was one of those plays Minnesota ran a blitz. They shouldn't have. They didn't cover. And, again, long touchdown. That's not sustainable, but he does get red zone targets when they're there. Next, Curtis Samuel of the Buffalo Bills. Now, Samuel's had 2 good weeks, but Buffalo's missed receivers in those games. This week, they were without Keon Coleman. Last week, Amari Cooper. So they've had injuries, right? Well, anyway, in those 2 games, Curtis Samuel averaging 7 targets, 4.5 catches, 47 yards, and he scored a touchdown. If pass catchers continue to miss time, Curtis Samuel could be a streaming option. Next, Kaderil Hodge. Darnell Mooney goes down with a hamstring injury. If he's going to miss time, Hodge likely sets into 3 receiver sets. Now, he's not going to get Mooney's volume, not going to get Mooney's production, but in this offense, Hodge could get 3 to 7 targets as possible. And so in that said, he could be a decent floor play for you as well. Last one is going to be an odd one here. Kendrick Bourne of the New England Patriots didn't play a single snap in last week's game, but this week leads the team with 70 yards and a touchdown against the Rams. So there you have it. So you don't know what his role is going to be going forward. Bourne's a talented player coming off an ACL last year. He could produce if he's given a chance to see targets. Finally, one tight end. And this one, look, probably gone in most leagues, but I got to throw his name out there in case he's out there. Jonnu Smith keeps getting volume. He's been out targeting Tyreek Hill over the last 5 weeks, but he averages Jonnu Smith 6 targets over the last 5 games. 4 of those 5 games, at least 45 yards. In that span, he has a 96 and a touchdown. Against the Raiders, 101 and 2 touchdowns. Broken coverage for a touchdown. But still, he is a real thing in that offense. He's a tight end 1 right now. So if he's out there in the waiver wire, don't leave him there.